Hello, my dear students. Today we will talk about an overview of cellular respiration. So let's start. Our key concept is the overall process of cellular respiration converts sugar into ATP using oxygen. We already have studied the ATP, the adenosine triphosphate. Our main ideas: number one, cellular respiration makes ATP by breaking down sugars. Number two, cellular respiration is like a mirror image of photosynthesis, and we already have studied the photosynthesis. So let's start. The first key concept is cellular respiration makes ATP by breaking down sugars. Plants use photosynthesis to make their own food, yes, and animals eat other organisms as food. But food is not a direct source of energy. Instead, plants, animals, and other eukaryotes break down molecules from food to produce the ATP. Okay, cellular respiration releases chemical energy from sugars and other carbon-based molecules, the molecules that are composed mainly of carbon, to make ATP when oxygen is present. So cellular respiration is the breaking down of food to release the chemical energy in presence of oxygen. Cellular respiration is an aerobic process. The word aerobic process means that it needs oxygen to take place. Any aerobic process, it means the process needs oxygen to take place. So cellular respiration, we said it needs oxygen, right? In order to break down the sugars to make ATP. So cellular respiration is an aerobic process. Cellular respiration takes place in the mitochondria, which are often called the cell's powerhouses because they make most of a cell's ATP. A mitochondrion, this is the singular of mitochondria. A mitochondrion cannot make ATP from food directly. A mitochondrion, this is the mitochondrion, cannot make food, cannot make ATP from the food directly. First, foods are broken down. This is the digestion of food. Foods are broken down into smaller molecules such as glucose. Then the glucose is broken down. Okay, glycolysis. We have a process called the glycolysis. The word lysis itself means breaking down. So glycolysis splits glucose into two 3-carbon molecules. Two molecules, each one of them contains 3 carbon atoms. This is the translation of two 3-carbon molecules. Again, glycolysis splits glucose into two 3-carbon molecules and makes two molecules of ATP. Glycolysis takes place in a cell's cytoplasm and does not need oxygen. The process that does not need oxygen is named anaerobic. Anaerobic. So glycolysis is an anaerobic process because it does not need oxygen to take place. However, glycolysis is necessary for cellular respiration. Glycolysis is necessary for cellular respiration. Why? The products of glycolysis are broken down into the mitochondria to make many more ATP. Look at this equation we have here. This is 6-carbon molecule. This is the glucose that is broken down into two 3-carbon molecules, as you can see, and there is two ATP molecules are made. Two ADP molecules, adenosine diphosphate, are turned into two ATP molecules, adenosine triphosphate. Now we have a question that says, what is the function of cellular respiration? What is the function of cellular respiration? You might think about it. Okay, so cellular respiration breaks down the sugars to produce ATP for the cell's activities. And here is the answer. Let's move on. So a cellular respiration is like a mirror image of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis and the cellular respiration are not true opposites, but you can think about them in that way. For example, chloroplasts absorb energy from sunlight and build sugars. Mitochondria release chemical energy to make ATP. The chemical equation of cellular respiration is basically the reverse of photosynthesis, and we will know it by the end of this session. The structures of chloroplasts and the mitochondria, they are similar to each other. A mitochondrion is surrounded by a membrane, the same as The chloroplasts. Also, a mitochondrion has two parts that are involved in cellular respiration, which are the matrix and the inner mitochondrial membrane. Do you remember the two parts that are involved in photosynthesis? Yes, for sure they are the thylakoids and stroma, or grana and stroma. So let's talk more about the cellular respiration. Look at this picture. Cellular respiration in mitochondria takes place in two main stages. Number one is named Krebs cycle, and number two, electron transport. Number one, Krebs cycle. Number two, electron transport. These are the two stages of cellular respiration. So let's take a good look on this picture. We have here stage one Krebs cycle, two phases or 2 points. Number one, the three carbon molecules from glycolysis enter cellular respiration in mitochondria. So these are the three carbon molecules. They are in the matrix. The matrix, the area enclosed by the inner membrane of the mitochondrion. And then it produces six carbon dioxide molecules and an amount of energy. This energy carrying molecules transfer to phase or stage two, which is the electron transport. Then, step number three, the energy carrying molecules that came from Krebs cycle enter stage two of cellular respiration. Here we have the six oxygen molecules that are needed with the energy from glycolysis combined in the inner membrane of the mitochondrion to make ATP and gives off six water molecules. ATP molecules are produced, heat and water are released as a waste products. Then we have a question that says, what are the reactants and the products of cellular respiration? I need you to pay more attention to this part. The reactants, this is the tricky one, because the reactants of cellular respiration are the three carbon molecules and the oxygen, while the products are carbon dioxide and water. Okay, I need you to pay attention to this part, please. So let's look at Krebs cycle, the stage one Krebs cycle. Krebs cycle is named for the scientist who discovered the process. Krebs cycle produces molecules that carry energy to the second part of cellular respiration, which is the electron transport. The Krebs cycle takes place in the interior space or matrix of the mitochondrion. Step number one, the three carbon molecules from glycolysis are broken down in a cycle of chemical reactions. A small amount of ATP molecules are made. Other types of energy carrying molecules are also made. Okay, carbon dioxide is given off as a waste product in this step. Number two, step two, energy is transferred to the second stage of cellular respiration. This is the same as photosynthesis. Let's move on. This is stage two, electron transport. An electron transport chain made of proteins needs energy carrying molecules from the Krebs cycle and the oxygen to make ATP. This is where we will use the oxygen. This part of the process takes place in and across the inner mitochondrial membrane. Stage number three, the electron transport. Stage number two, I'm sorry, this is point number three. Step number three, energy is transferred to a chain of proteins in the inner membrane of the mitochondrion. Step number four, a large number of ATP molecules are made. This is our goal from cellular respiration. Oxygen enters the process and is used to make water molecules. Water and heat are given off as waste products. Look at this picture. So now we can imagine and now we can understand what's going on during cellular respiration of the mitochondria. Okay, up to 38 ATP molecules are made from the breakdown of one glucose molecule, two from glycolysis, this happens in the cytoplasm, and from 34 to 36 from cellular respiration. The equation of cellular respiration is shown below. This is the sugar, C6H12O6, which is glucose, combined with or reacting with six oxygen molecules to give us six carbon dioxide molecules and six water molecules. But I need you to pay attention to all these arrows. This is to infer or to tell us that Cellular respiration is not a simple process. The equation for cellular respiration has many more steps. For example, the cellular respiration equation includes glycolysis, and many enzymes also are part of cellular respiration. Compare cellular respiration to photosynthesis. I need you to look at this picture. The photosynthesis uses the products of cellular respiration. Photosynthesis converts the energy from sunlight into sugars. Look at the reactants, carbon dioxide and water, plus energy from sunlight. The products are sugar, the glucose, and oxygen. Okay, look at the cellular respiration. It needs the products of photosynthesis. Cellular respiration releases stored energy from sugars to make ATP that can be used by cells. Look here, we have the reactants that were the products of the previous one, sugars and oxygen. And the products of cellular respiration, these are the reactants of photosynthesis. So this is like the same. Look, this is just the direction of the reaction. The reactants, light energy or sunlight energy, carbon dioxide and water, through through chloroplast, this is photosynthesis. It gives the products sugars and oxygen. In mitochondria, this is cellular respiration using sugars and oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and water. Also, we have ATP and heat energy. We have now a question that says, does glucose actually react with oxygen during cellular respiration? Explain. What reacts with the oxygen? Yes, excellent. So no, the glucose do not react with oxygen because glucose is split by glycolysis period to aerobic parts of cellular respiration when oxygen enters the process. I hope you understood this lesson and see you in the next episode. Thank you and goodbye.